So quick update on this one. We've got some things to talk about. I've trimmed my position quite heavily on this. We'll have a quick look at Solana, a quick look at Bitcoin, but this is going to be a quick update because I've just done the Tesla update and that took a while. So I'm just going to power through. Enjoy. I did sell out about 50% of my CleanSpark position and I got rid of Mara completely. Mara was kind of a legacy, rising tide's going to lift all boats situation. Mainly kept that one open because they started to act more like a treasury company by buying Bitcoin. Their actual mining operations, I don't like. They struggle with uptime and all that stuff. So I got rid of that at the same time. Wanted that capital because I found eToro has actually listed a couple of treasury stocks I was interested in buying. They had big moves, but we'll talk about them after. Just looking at my notes, I'll put the CleanSpark price on this page though for you. Really size. So primarily this has been both a fundamental and a technical issue with CleanSpark. Fundamentally, several things have changed. We've now, this cycle moves more relating to treasuries. The miners always were a proxy trade on this. They acted as a kind of 2 to 3x leverage of the underlying asset. Now that worked really, really well last year, and I was able to make a bunch of money on that. But this year, not so much. The treasuries came in and they suck up a lot of the volume and liquidity, which is fine. eToro didn't list them, so I couldn't really pivot at that time. And I still am bullish that we'll at least get back to 20 into year end. But they're starting to trade more like commodities, and the tariff hit that we recently had fundamentally impacts CleanSpark as a business, and that I think was the biggest hit. It's a fairly low margin business. There's a couple of things CleanSpark's been doing lately that I don't like. They've started to sell their Bitcoin at a time when we're not peaking out, so I was quite annoyed about that. That is really a no-no for me. So we talked about the tariffs, we talked about the treasury companies, the CEO change. Now, I don't necessarily mind. I liked Zach and I like Schultz, but at this point in the cycle, to be changing CEO tells me fundamentally there's something under the hood there that is not working. There's some kind of disagreement. Maybe they make a statement saying otherwise, but to change CEO at a point in the cycle when things should be going very, very well for the company, I don't like. The last earnings call it was really dull. There was nothing exciting. They've really slowed down on their acquisitions. I think the last big one they had was they bought the big land parcel, but they've really not done much. So the last quarter has not been great, and that I think has been reflected in the price. We had the little pump, we had the big rejection on the chart here. So technically speaking, the chart is now very weak with a break below this trend line, although we can kind of adjust it down a little bit. I think if it pulls below the red bull market band there, that is going to be very bearish for the chart at a time when it definitely should be bouncing up. The treasury companies are doing really well. Now, I'm not in any Bitcoin treasury companies on eToro. I am outside of eToro, but they did recently list some Ethereum treasuries, so I've moved my capital to that, and I would like to add to those positions as they pull back, because annoyingly, I only realized that they'd added them when they were pumping, so I added a little bit, and I've got a little more dry powder in the tank to add to that on pullbacks. So referring to that, if we go over here, I think there was something else about CleanSpark as well that I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was on the chart. No, I think it was so I put a post on eToro and I forgot to mention they'd started selling their Bitcoin, which I did not like. SBET. So this one I'm really bullish on. I think BMNR is going to do much better. It's got Tom Lee pumping the hell out of it, but these are swing trades for me. These are highly volatile, and I don't suggest anyone entering them with me. You can see here by this wick action we had yesterday, we had a massive pump where I ended up adding a little bit of what I had. 18 lots sounds a lot, but from having no position, it's nothing major. I think it works out to about 1.8% of my portfolio or something like that. Quite small, very starter position. Would love it to fall back to backtest this kind of red area. Don't know if it's going to do. This drop was caused because they had another massive ATM offering. I haven't seen how much ETH they bought yet. I have a very small ETH position on this. I only want to take a leveraged swing trade on Ethereum. It's not my high conviction play. I think the technology is outdated and dull, but the narrative is there for the end of this cycle. I think we pump up into year end, possibly more. I think this cycle is going to be slightly longer, but I don't want to be holding much past year end. Maybe I only have some Ethereum, some Bitcoin, some Solana. Every leverage play should be done and dusted by them. So it's something to bear in mind. Kind of, this is the chart I'm working with at the minute. I've kind of got my price levels that I wanted to do. Obviously, my average outside of eToro is way lower because they were available on other platforms for me to invest in. BMNR, this is a fairly new position for me as well. I think this was I added a very small amount on this because the pump here was crazy. I think I added about 58, but I'll have to add that back so next time I can show you. And then, so my outside of eToro average is this line here. So I just need to update that chart a little bit. I moved charting tool on this one, so that's a bit out of date. But for next time, I'm going to need to change my core positions. So I can't update on CleanSpark now because it's no longer a core position, but I'm just going to keep it as kind of like a crypto Monday instead. So I'll talk about my treasuries, I'll talk about CleanSpark still, basically anything that tickles my pickle. I still think Solana the price has been pushed down on there. I think it's quite clear. I think they're doing the same on Ethereum to some degree as well. I think they've given up on Bitcoin. It's got so large, it's hard for them to manipulate it, although they will still try over the weekend when there's low volume. So currently, BMNR is 0.67% of my portfolio, very tiny. Want to scale that one up. I think that one's going to be the better horse, but it had pumped up the most. So from this low here to the high yesterday, it was 127% in like 4 days. Did not want to add a size into that. I want to see that cool off a little bit. But, it can run crazy. Tom Lee loves that one. And SBET, where is it on my portfolio, is now 2.17%. So I did add as that one fell a little bit as well yesterday. I would like that one to fall a bit more. It is cheaper. It's ran less. So I shouldn't say cheaper. It's the better deal right now. So from its low there, over the same period, we only ran about 57%, and we've given nearly half that back. So that one's where I've been adding. So I still have CleanSpark. CleanSpark is 3.13%, so it's a little bit over. So I trimmed a little bit less than 50%. I'm still holding that. I am down 14% on those remaining positions, but given the amount of money I made last year that I took off the table, and this year that I've already closed, we're pretty much sitting net neutral on the new shares. So I haven't made any loss on that yet. So I've been able to pivot to something I really wanted to invest in whilst CleanSpark is being weak. I'm keeping an eye on things. I'd like to hear more from CleanSpark regarding the situation and what they're doing with the money markets to try and make profits and boost margins. But they're going to have to get subsidised by the government to remain afloat. I think it's got rough very fast. Maybe I should have reacted a few quarters ago and seen this coming, but we can't be all-knowing, magical, mystical investors. Sometimes the only thing we can do is not marry our stocks. I'm not married to any of my stocks. When I see the red flags is when I get off. I'm willing to give them some degree of time. Normally, if a company is going through a rough spot, I'll give them maybe 2 or 3 quarters. But in this situation, CleanSpark does not have 2 or 3 quarters. They need to be turning things around today to show us that we can have faith that they're going to hit those higher levels. Now, I still think they've got an opportunity to do that, but the window is very, very short for them. We are in, what month is it? Is it August? August. Typically, this quarter that we are on now needs to be the one where we see the magic happen. And I don't think that's going to happen at this point. I think a rising tide will lift all boats in that kind of situation, and the arbitrage play that will flip to buy in to exit their positions, and that will create the pressure to the upside. But as a high conviction play, It's definitely the timeline. The timeline just does not work for me this time. Maybe they get better for the next cycle, but I don't think I will be using the miners as a proxy trade next cycle. Next cycle, I think it's going to be Robinhood again, MicroStrategy, and a handful of treasury companies. Don't necessarily think they will be Ethereum treasuries that I'm invested in, but maybe Solana, so DFDV, that kind of thing. But they're not listed on eToro yet, so we've got to work with our limitations within eToro, and if that means just holding the OGs, so the actual Solana tokens and Ethereum, then that's what we've got to do. Anyway, I think that's all for my update on this one. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments. That's a wrap. If you enjoyed this content, feel free to share it with your mum, your nan, your dad, your dog, whoever. And I'll see you next time.